Hello, this is Professor Gavor. In Chapter 13, we're going to talk about big data and social computing. Um, I don't know why these two topics are together. Maybe in 2015, 5 years ago, 5 short years ago, it was important to have them as the same, but I think they're separate topics at this point. But we'll cover it as they're doing here in the textbook. So no issues. Um, and I'm going to put up another slide deck that I did in a big data topics class, which puts that in a little bit more perspective. We're amassing all this amounts of information in an ERP system that runs giant corporations. And we don't have a mountain of data, we have a mountain range of data. And it's data, it's not information. The whole point of information and analytics and big data is to take that data and turn it into information that you can make strategy and tactical decisions with it. You want to learn things about your business that you might suspect but never could verify, or things that get insights that maybe you hadn't even suspected that are true. And you want to apply those decisions to products and the way you market products and who you market them to, and et cetera, et cetera. Now, your engagement with customers, partners, suppliers, potential customers, that interface sometimes can come through your social media activities, and that will also feed your big data. So you're getting your reaction of things that you've done in terms of running your business. You're getting some reaction to it through social media, and that's filling your big data. Most of the time with social media, people are trying to generate enthusiasm or awareness of your company. And if it's an e-commerce social media, you're actually getting bona fide orders, and you're seeing what people are ordering and what demographic and from what parts of the country, and you can gain some insights that way. So this is that data space we're trying to explore, that decision space we're trying to explore. So social media is a large component of online data for organizations, but it's not valuable if it's not analyzed. Well, all the data that is generated in an ERP system, you could say this about, is not valuable if it's not analyzed. Not all data should be analyzed, but you're collecting data routinely in such a way that maybe you never even thought about analyzing it before. So you've got to look at it. So the question is, how can we use insights from the data we collect and amass to improve our interactions with customers, suppliers, employees, and in the marketing of our products and services? When I talk about social media, information comes in a variety of ways. You have your internal wikis, you have blogs, you have videos, all this. I don't know what kind of information and what kind of hits and information is going to come 3D user interface or visualization. And this doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Presence, awareness, instant messaging, Twitter feed, and buzz about your company is important. Information you get from Facebook probably is important. LinkedIn is important. And I'm not sure what reputation systems and gamified data are. This is not the area of big data that I would be looking at. But I know that people do look at it. And depending on how trendy your product is, Twitter feed and social media trends, if you're representing a famous artist, musical artist, or film star, you can sense trends, and can you capitalize on those trends quickly? So I know that there are big data systems that try to analyze Twitter and social media feeds and see what's going on. How does a company use this data? Respond more quickly to the market by making faster decisions. That's a pure interface with social media. make patterns more evident, such as problems with a new product or buying products, or rather than and targeting your advertising to a specific class of customers. That's not so much social media, but it's just analyzing your sales demographics, maybe by zip code. Facilitate innovation in products and services. Once you're getting feedback on what customers have to say and the kind of complaints you're getting from your 800 system or your customer service portals, you want to keep track of all those verbatims and analyze them at some point, because there's a wealth of consumer data that would cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars to collect otherwise. And you want to improve your reputation and brand awareness. So the big data opportunity. You want to sense what's happening in the marketplace. You want to have mass visibility to see what's going on. You want to enhance the ability to experiment. In other words, integration of real-time sensing and generate and gather data quickly to see if you can make decisions faster, quicker. Combination of real-time sensing to adjust behavior. Now, one of the things I look at, and I think probably companies are probably doing it now, was I think to my consumer products days, and let's say we're going to launch a range of floral dishwashing liquids, 4 fragrances, mountain mist, sea breeze, desert flower, and rainforest. And each one is associated with a color that kind of evokes whatever that is. And now these fragrances kind of all smell the same to me, because unless it says strawberry or rose or chocolate or something like that, what I know what I'm supposed to smell, I'm taking their word for it that what I'm smelling is a sea breeze or a desert flower or a rainforest. And so you have 4 fragrances, 4 different sizes, bottles, and all these aren't going to be hits. I would want to use my big data and my sales data and analyze it very quickly to say, do we want to carry all 16 variations of this product, which is taking up shelf space and taking up manufacturing planning time? Or is it possible that maybe only 3 of them or 4 of them or 5 or 6 meet a hurdle, predetermined hurdle, on what we want to keep and what we want to jettison? You might find out that in the Northeast, which is kind of a sea breeze and maybe rainforest kind of area of the United States, they really like the mountain flower because they want something different and more exotic than they're normally used to. And in Arizona, they may really crave the sea breeze or something like that. So you look and see where these things are going, if they meet your hurdle, and then trim your SKU, stock keeping unit, the variance of the products that you offer, and simplify the line of things that you offer to things that are higher sellers. That's the way I would look at some of this. So delivering business value with big data. You want to have some governance over it, certainly. You don't want everybody analyzing everything. You kind of want to aim this gun in the directions that you think you're going to get the most bang out of. Normally, like you would prioritize your IT projects, you want to prioritize your big data analytic projects, because, sometimes it takes an investment of time to analyze all this data and come up with something where you can glean the results. If the results were easily obtainable, someone would have already done it already. So you have to have improved data and information capabilities. Well, most of the time the data is there, and transferring it into information, this is the hardest part to do it. I would think in any big data project, it's pretty clear that probably about 80% of the effort is cleaning and making sense of the data. and deciding which data you're going to use and which data you're not going to use, and which is in the right format, which is not in the right format. And guess what? There's data entry errors all over the place. So as you're doing it, you're also cleaning up your data, putting in better data management systems, hopefully. And then your questions are being driven by business strategy, or your business strategy for using the data, new skills and tool, but also what you're going to study. So you look at social media and big data use, and mostly I think here we're talking about big data, and what is the business value you want to get out of it? What kind of decisions do you want to be able to make faster and more reliably? What kind of business insights do you want to have, and go from there? Some of the things you could ask: what are the biggest drivers of our profit? How can we increase our customer loyalty? How do we have information that is easy to use and useful? Is there seasonality to our products that we haven't looked at? Is there trends in the products that we'd like to see before they actually kill a segment of our business? We'd like to see it coming ahead of time and decide what to do with it instead. So you're going to look at reports and dashboards and visualizations of data and trends analyses and simulate things. And even traditional reports are important here. But what you're trying to do is take that mountain range of data and turn it into information and display and visualize that information in a way that it can further help you make better business decisions. Now, if we look at delivering this business value, you have to determine what data to collect and how to get it. Most of the time, you're going to have a lot of data internally, but sometimes you need an external source. You may need weather forecasts. You may need who knows what from outside. The government provides all kinds of data, and access to some of those databases is widely available. So data has 4 dimensions that we want to look at: unstructured, structured, internal, and external. And they're not 4 different things. Your unstructured data could be internal and external. Your structured data could be internal and external. So obviously the easiest ones to define here: internal data, that's data that's found in your ERP system. External data is data you have to get from some outside entity, be it a supplier, a customer, a government agency, or some other database. Structured data is usually transactional data, order data, and it's a lot of numbers. It's easily to, it's well organized by, serial number if it's a product and you're collecting data on a specific product, or by order, or by customer number, or by region or zip code, or whatever. You can slice and dice the data. It's very well structured. It has a few, several key items that you can sort on. Unstructured data would be maybe the kind of like, if someone fills out a warranty form for your company. You sell a product that you say, hey, go to, blah, blah, blah.com/register and register your product. Let's say you bought some sort of household appliance. And it asks you a mess of questions. Are you male, female, blah, 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 blah. That's all structured data. Then at the end it says, hey, what made you buy this product? And maybe you have to type in some verbatim comments. And do you own, some other open-ended questions like that. That's unstructured data. Harder to sort on, harder to make use of, but maybe very valuable. And that's a very simple view of unstructured data. There's many other examples. So 3 levels of analytic maturity in organizations. If you're aspirational, you're looking at support, finance, and supply chain. Many companies, small businesses, are not even good at this. Probably larger companies are getting better at that or good at it already. Experienced companies would support a holistic strategy, marketing, and operations. And then transformational companies are looking at a day to day strategy. I don't know what day to day strategy means. Day to day means tactic. Strategic means multi year. So I'm not sure what they're talking about. But let's go with that. Day to day strategy and operations in a planned and coordinated fashion to the best of your ability. Transformational companies probably have dedicated staff and maybe key data analytics scientists and engineers working, and statisticians working in key areas of the company where they're constantly investigating what management is looking for and trying to determine if there are relationships to be had. And a lot of times you're looking for correlations that are causal, so you want predictive models if you can develop such. So, again, looking at it kind of in an introductory way, do we have information management expertise? One, are we making sure our data is well managed and kind of as accurate as possible? Are we able to transform that data and at least download it into spreadsheets and minimally, use, I'm blanking out here for a second, pivot tables to organize the data. There's a lot you can do with pivot tables, and most people don't know how to use them. And a lot of times, a kind of base level analytics is to download some data into an Excel spreadsheet, and this is structured data, and then use pivot tables to do tallies and counts and see what percentages is that, the other thing. Doesn't work well with unstructured data. It works well with structured data. The other problem with big data is usually the big part means it's bigger than fits in a spreadsheet. If you try to download it into a spreadsheet, you might be able to do it. It could have a couple of million lines of data and, over 10, 20 columns. Well, if you try to manipulate that in a spreadsheet on a PC, you'll freeze up your computer. So you need some sort of technical method to analyze that data. And people use R and Python. Statisticians tend to use R more. Non-statisticians tend to use Python. There's a tremendous overlap in the two. They're both kind of quasi-computer programming languages. And you need business analytic expertise, which means you need to know to use those kinds of programs like R and Python, but you also have to have some knowledge of statistics. And if you get better and better at that, you could have an analytic-oriented culture eventually in your company, but it doesn't happen immediately. So the questions that you would ask, do we know what data people have socialized around our business and our product? That's if you're only talking about social media data. Do we have an inventory of data streams in our ecosystem and those surrounding us? In other words, do we have data that we can collect that can help analyze that further? If we assume the social media data is a combination of structured and unstructured data, this is an aspect of big data analysis I'm not as familiar with, but it's certainly something that marketing people definitely like to look at. I come from the supply chain side. We're dealing probably much more from a structured data form basis. Have we thought about the data streams we can produce? Could they be valuable outside our organization? Could we sell that data? Could we exchange that data for other people's data? Most people treat their data as proprietary, though, and don't want other people looking at it, lest it gets in the wrong hands. And that's the whole point of cybersecurity, is making sure it doesn't get into the wrong hands. And probably the first step is not to share it with people unless you've signed contracts and can verify that they will keep the data secure as you do. How many other of our organizational systems can be architected easily to provide data in real time? Well, that again is that in this world of structured and social media data, if you're trying to track trends in your company in real time, that's a different issue than looking back over the past few months and seeing what's happening. Again, I'm not as versed on that as I would like to be. Are we keeping an eye on a changing value of our digital assets? Or capability, is the kinds of digital assets we have changing that might even provide us with more insights? So the answers to these questions can be used to develop new strategic opportunities such as data generation. Can we create new data products, or can we create new products? Can we create a data platform through the aggregation of other data? Like if my product sales are weather related, and if there was some valuable way of predicting the weather in the next 2-3 months, or even the economy in the next 2-3 months. People are trying to figure out right now what's Christmas sales going to look like. How much should we order? Is this going to be a big Christmas? Is it going to be a bad Christmas? How the heck are you going to decide right now, right this minute? Because I'm giving this in May, at the last day of May in 2020. You've got to place your order for all your Christmas, your fall fashions and Christmas items to stock your stores probably yesterday. Is it going to be like last year? Is the economy going to be worse or better than it is right now? These are a lot of unknowns. Can you get some outside data that can enhance your forecasting ability to predict what it is you should order from all of your vendors in Asia, to get them in time and get them in your stores, and hopefully not have enough to cover all the people's wants, but not have so much that you're stuck having to have a giant fire sale in the first week of January. Service: create new and or improve your services. If you find out how many customers are returning things and why they're returning things, maybe you can make sure that you sell them better so they're picking the right thing that they need. Efficiency: optimize internal operations. I think there's a lot of room for this. This is a lot of structured data and a lot of internal data, and there's a huge runway of things you could do here. And analytics: develop superior insight and knowledge on basically any aspect of your business. So the challenges for IT managers here is, we think business people, they're claiming, have a shorter time horizon in their thinking than IT people, and often not prepared to anticipate new technologies. That's true. We don't know what's capable. A business leader may not know what's capable. He kind of knows what's capable now, and once he gets a good feeling for that, he or she can use that knowledge to ask the right kinds of questions and get the right kinds of things. The IT people have got to let them know how things are changing and the kinds of data we can get. If we're able to get and manipulate unstructured data in a better way, we might be able to use that to make better decisions. So the role of the IT manager and data scientists and those people are to communicate, which is an ongoing theme again, with the business leaders, to let them know where trends are going in big data and analytics and the use of social media data, and how it will benefit the company now and how they anticipate it benefiting the company later. And if management gets excited about the later, they might want to provide some more insight and more money, not insight, but more funding to get there quicker. Um, so, in a sense, I don't know if organizational behavior must change, if the value of social computing is to be realized, or management just needs to be educated on the various kinds of data and how it can be used. And then they will tell you kind of what they think they need. And you and them together can decide where investments probably need to be made to determine what kind of data should we collect and what kind of questions are we trying to answer. So people get excited about this. It's easy to sell something sexy to people. And believe me, big data and analytics can be sexy when you're selling it at the front end. And then if you actually work in it, you're going to find out that it's really a lot of tedious work. And it's, it loses all of that appeal. So what their point here is that people, like, yeah, let's give it a try. Let's go for it. Let's do it. Okay. And I start asking questions. I'm not getting the kind of answer I want. And the participation over time settles down to some steady state lesser than what was sold, and still useful, but not that high level of promise on which it was sold. The challenge for big data and social computing, an IT management's perspective. Blurred process and organization boundaries, collaboration and sharing. I guess I don't know if these things go together. It looks like it seems to be one-to-one. But you have situational applications, mass participation and acceptability. So for blurred processes in organization, you have firewalls and structured processes, collaboration, sharing, intellectual property and privacy protection. Who do you share it with? Who do you keep it with? How do you maintain your insights? Situational applications, maintaining transactional applications and operational integrity, etc. I'm not going to go through this whole list. I'll let you read it. If you have questions, consult the book. Ask on our Wednesday meeting from 7 to 8 o'clock Central Time, which only one person is called in both weeks. Brian Manley will be speaking this week. First steps for IT leaders. Identify specific problems and then use data and or social media to solve them. Well, it's a first step for IT leaders and business leaders. I think they've got to decide themselves. If the IT leader picks a problem and the manager doesn't care about it, you going through and spending time and solving it will have no impact on the business leader. It's got to be a problem a business leader wants to see. Then you want to develop a business savvy IT staff, but most companies have analytic people that don't necessarily work in IT. They use IT heavily, but I'm not sure that all data analysis groups, I think they report to marketing and maybe some senior teams more than they report to IT. Don't quote me on that. How do you become a data factory? Work to improve your data quality. So the data management is important, and therefore if you have good quality, the usability should be there. And how do you integrate the various data streams that you might have or the various databases that you might have access to? Internal, external, structured, unstructured. Your IT and business leaders have to work in creating this analytic capability and department. So they have to build deliverables that will engage customers with the company and build superior customer service. But they also have to have internal customers, mostly marketing and sales, that wanted, and new product development. So what are the insights that we can gain? How do we slice and dice all this data we have into some information that we can actually use to make better and more accurate tactical and strategic decisions? Here is something I totally agree with. Consider hiring a graphic designer or two. Visualization of complex data. often require someone, and there's really good programs like Tableau that help do this. And it's not everybody can do it, but you want someone that has that savvy, maybe working in your analytic group, to be able to use Tableau and take complicated, multi-dimensional data and display it in a way where people can see things and glean information from it. Well, and again, support actions that improve use. They're saying communicate the link between use and value to keep teams focused on uh, usefulness and ease of the social media and big data applications. Well, I think that's evolved over time since 2015 to become people are going to ask questions. And then you're going to have to go back as an analytic team and answer the questions the best you can, or reframe the question based on the kind of data that you have and are able to get, and provide the answers to the reframed questions. It's an art form. Not everybody can do that. So, social technologies and big data will create new information platforms. They've already created new information platforms, in which ideas that we never dreamed up will surface, and questions, the ability to answer questions that we thought unanswerable, can now be answered. When it comes to small companies, they don't even realize they have this capability. The smaller the company, if they're using some sort of quasi ERP system, they're probably not paying attention to any of that data they've been collecting except the ones they've always used. So they should, companies need, I don't think they have a choice. Everybody wants to flip the light switch and go from doing no analytics to lots of analytics. But in reality, it's a dimmer switch. You're going to go from not using any analytics to gaining experience and using more and more over time. So it's evolutionary, not a big bang. Thank you so much. We'll talk again.